In this episode, we take a detailed look at your rent variances. I'm Jim Ross. He's Matt VanHorn. And this is 3 Mile Domination, where we talk about anything and everything regarding the world of self-storage. Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross and Matt VanHorn, and this is episode number 11 of the 3 Mile Domination show. What's up, Matt?
How you doing?
Good. Starting off the week busy, so that's the way it goes after a holiday weekend. How was your 4th?
Oh, it was good. How about you?
Travel, so.
I didn't travel a lot. I stayed at home.
Oh yeah. Between a wedding and then a parade and then the fireworks, so it was a busy weekend, so.
I had none of that. It was great.
But no one cares about that. They want to know about storage, so let's go into it here.
Exactly.
We don't care. Our last video we've been talking about revenue management and techniques and things, just getting more involved in that. And we briefly touched upon an episode or two ago regarding really knowing what your rent variances are. And I'd like to kind of go more detail on that for the listeners to really kind of what reports to go look at, what kind of percentage points they're looking at to try to get that up to street rates, and how often they should be doing that.
No, exactly. I think the variance is another way of doing revenue. I mean, it's another factor of revenue management. Too often we think about, we're going to raise our existing tenants, and we're going to raise them by a certain percentage point every X number of months. And that's fine, but what you don't remember is when you're raising your street rates, that there's people left behind. And I can't tell you how many times we've had properties where we go in, and let's say there's a tenant that's been there for, 8 years or something, or 5 years.
Sure. And
your street rate's gone up a number of times, but the regular rent increase doesn't keep up with that.
Yep.
So you actually have to go in there and do a bigger increase if that's what you want to do.
And again, it's something you got to think about. And we kind of talked about this before of, you get some of those ones that have fallen through the cracks and they're really far behind on what the street rates are now. And, it's kind of a judgment call. If you're really 100% occupied and you're turning away phone calls, do you raise that one up to the street rate and just do a huge jump? Or bigger increases than you normally would, but not all the way to the street rates. So it's something you gotta weigh. And again, it's either way, it's totally fine. I've done both on a number of different sites.
Right.
Some locations, just we're turning people away, and the rent variances are just so crazy. I didn't have the patience to do it incremental increases up to street rates. I just had to get it done now, and I just raised everyone up to street rates at that point, and kind of let the chips fall where they may. And like we've talked about before, about the fear of rate increases, I really didn't get that much of a pushback at all. And the few that did, kind of bitch and moan a little bit and end up moving out, then so be it. We rented the unit at the higher street rate, and everybody's happy. But it's...
Well, yeah, I think I mentioned this during our last discussion, where I had a list of tenants that were well under street rate, and I took a certain percentage of them and raised them right up to the regular rate, the regular street rate. And again, the manager came in and said, well, what do you expect them to do when you get it? It's like, well, I expect them to either take it or move back. And it's the same kind of thing. You're going to what you want to do is, when you're planning on something like this, take a percentage of them, and then go down your occupancy statistics report, whatever it is in your software, and figure out which size codes are the most full, and then start working on those, and then just take a percentage, because you have to assume when you're going to do a large rent increase on a variance, let's say you're going from 150 to 190, odds are that customer is either going to move out or they're going to research the market to see if they can. And at that point, I think you're okay either way. If you're that full and you're having that much traffic, then the person gets out and you re-rent it automatically, or they take the increase and you're golden either way.
Yep, exactly. And again, these are reports that are very readily available in your storage software, but I think sometimes gets overlooked. They're kind of looking at the management summaries, and they're looking at the other reports, and sometimes that rent variance one just, I don't know, sometimes doesn't get looked at like it should be, because it is extremely important, like we've been discussing here.
Well, I think sometimes, too, you can look at your management summary or in whatever software you're in, you'll see something called a net variance. That's not what you want to look at.
Yep.
You want to look at the full variance report, because your net variance only gives you the net of the variance between the people who are over street rate and the people who are under street rate.
Yep.
That net variance might be, let's say, negative $1,000, but your total variances under street rate might be 5 or 6 or whatever it is. So those are what you want. You want to make sure you make that differentiation when you're looking at it, and then start tagging those again. Start working on those units that are above. I mean, I'm not saying to hit even all of them at one time. I mean, you could do I know when I was doing it, we limited it to like 3 to 5% of existing customers. We didn't want to, because I figured when I do those large increases, not your standard 6%, but you're talking about those large jumps, 20, 30, 40, $50, that you have to assume that they're going to move out. And you don't necessarily want so many moves outs. And then what I'll do is I'll go through the software and lock out those tenants. Like, I'll pick the tenants I know that I'm going to hit for a variance increase.
Yeah.
I'll lock them out in the software so they don't get an automatic increase. Let the rest of them get automatic increases, and then I'll focus on hitting those variances during my hot times. And then I'll kind of taper off doing it as we get to, say, like in winter, for example, when things start to slow down, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween to New Year's, basically. And then start them back up in the spring, but still hit them with a regular increase while waiting.
No, and that's a great way to do it. Exactly. It's being systematic and being smart about it. But again, it just comes back to being mindful in the first place of looking at those rent variances, and doing it. Yeah,
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Most people, once we even get through the regular rent increase, okay, we're going to do this percentage this many months, and it's going to happen this often. It's going to hit every tenant, that we have. You start to forget the ones that your business starts to expand and you're doing better, and you're going back and you're forgetting the people that have been there for 5 years, that no way that a 6% increase that you're going to catch up, $50. It's going to take forever.
Yeah.
So you either got to decide either you're going to lose that customer or they're going to pay a higher rate. And again, this is where, for those of you who are managers, some of you will start getting shaky, because it's like, oh my God, we can't raise them that much because, they're great customers or they've been with us forever. Or I get that it's not fair. Well, yeah, it is. And this is the way real estate works. It's like, if you're going to go get an apartment in Silicon Valley, you're going to pay for it. And, if your market allows you to do this, I'm not saying be mean about it. Again, I've said this before, and I'm not saying being vindictive, but, be smart and understand that it's your business, because you're not going to have, when business maybe slows down, you're not going to have those options. Take advantage of it while you have it now.
Yep, exactly. And again, be mindful of it and just making it part of your monthly analysis when you're looking at your reports and
absolutely
reconciling your accounts. Just make that just a part of your natural process every month of going over your variances and seeing what you can do to close that gap.
Absolutely. And if you have never done that, you're going to be amazed. I mean, it's going to be like finding,
it's going to be Christmas every day.
Yeah, and it can make a huge difference. I mean, those of you who have big capital repair projects that need to be done, let's say you need to replace your security system, or you need a new gate, or you want to blacktop your asphalt in your property. I mean, these are the kind of things where you find money to be able to do those bigger projects. I mean, where you could bring in $2, $3, $4 more a month.
Oh yeah.
Make those changes, and then all of a sudden, these bigger projects, you got hit with like down for here in Florida, you get hit with you lose an HVAC unit that starts at $3,500 minimum. So, you really need to do these things to keep up with everything.
Yep, exactly. So good. I think that's a great way to leave off, and we'll keep these tips coming. So, all right, until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Sounds great. Bye.
Go to 3miledomination.com/call to schedule your free 30-minute marketing tune-up call. I'll give you solid advice you can easily implement with or without us. Until next time.